Good morning, everybody. Hopefully, you had a wonderful late spring weekend. I got out and enjoyed the weather. Got a lot of fun stuff to cover today. So I'm going to jump right in here. As a reminder, next week it'll be Memorial Day. We will be off and enjoying the weekend. I'm assuming you will too, or hopefully you'll be too. So no call next Monday. So I want to talk about today. Everything old is new again. So what is the most profitable thing we can sell? What is the most profitable thing we can sell? Where do we make the most profit? Nobody knows? Well, it's a good thing we're talking about this today then, since nobody knows what our most profitable product is. What kind of product could give us a there you got it, Nick, a $50,000 commission, $30,000 commission, $80,000 commission. So Nick's got it. Come on, somebody else. Well, I am so happy I'm talking about this. We had one right answer. Life insurance is by far the most profitable thing we can sell, guys. If you don't know that, then that means we need to figure out how you can sell more life insurance. So the one problem with life insurance is if you say, hey, would you like to buy some life insurance? What are they going to say? You walk up to somebody or you're talking to a client and say, hey, would you like to buy more life insurance? They are going to say 100% of the time, what? No, get away from me. So we're never going to ask them to buy life insurance. But what if they asked you to buy life insurance? Would that be a good thing or a bad thing? So let's talk about how we do that. Well, first of all, two of our USPs are talking about universal life. Universal life. Have you applied for the program that pays for 2 years of long-term care costs without having to pay expensive annual premiums? Guys, expensive. Life insurance can be expensive, but is it annual premiums or is it one shot? Now, what we're going to talk about today is how you'll get the client to say, you know what, we'd like to peel off a little bit of our retirement income and buy life insurance with that. We'd like to peel off a little bit, not you telling them, they're going to tell you, we want to peel off some of our income and buy that, or they can do a lump sum as well. Have you applied for the program that will protect your wife from losing half her Social Security income debt? Again, that's universal life. So we're going to talk about how we do that today. So the first thing we have to acknowledge is, hey, have you applied for the program that will protect your wife from losing half her Social Security income or her spouse's death? Here's a question for you. What is the average age Americans become a widow or a widower? Let's see how many of you can get this right. Everybody put an answer to this. I want to see everybody on the call put an answer to this. What is the average age that Americans become a widow or widower? When I first looked at this many years ago, I was like, and it's been updated in 2020. So when I looked at it though, like 10 years ago, I was very surprised about the average age. When's the average age? Okay, we're getting, most of you are right about where I thought. So we've got 58, 62, 67, 74. Those are all ages that I thought. The average is 59. Is that younger or older than we thought? So rethinking advisors managing wealth for life's second half. There's 11.8 million widows in the U.S. Approximately 2,800 new widows are joining those ranks every day. 2,800 new widows joining those ranks every day. The average age of widowhood in the U.S. is 59, according to the U.S. Census Bureau. 59 dudes. So based on that, is this something that's important? Have you applied for the program that will protect your wife from losing half her Social Security income or death? Yes, yay or nay? Yay or nay? Y or N? And how many of your clients would get this right? How many of your clients would be even within 5 years of the right answer for 50 to 59 is the average age? So I want to look at a couple of things here. First, this is from there's some information or nice graphics from Modern Widows Club. The most stressful life event is losing a spouse. So, according to the Holmes Raw Life Stress Inventory, the added secondary loss for a widow are likely to increase a stress-reduced health breakdown. So, when 150 to 299 life stress score can increase the chances of illness by 50%. So, loss of spouse is is how big a life stressor. It's the top life stressor. So who are widows? Look at this. 32% of them are 51 to 59. 17% are 60 to 67. So that means what? Half of widows are in our client prospect base. Half of them. So should they be worried about this? Should they be worried about this? Yes. So how are we going to get them without preaching at them? Instead, have them tell us that, you know what, I want to protect my spouse with life insurance. Because again, it's pretty easy to do a young person with 3 young children to buy life insurance. But when they get to retired, how many of them want life insurance? Nobody does. And guys, this is not something you're going to do for prospecting. You are not going to do this for prospecting. No, 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 no. But you could, this is what you should be doing. And if you haven't done this with a client yet, you ought to do it. So how many of you have actually, let me get a show of hands. How many of you have presented the TRIP to a client or prospect, but how many of you have presented the TRIP to a client or prospect, the Tiered Retirement Income and Inflation Protection Plan, to a prospect or a client? You're going to raise your hands. Just a yay if you've done it. Or yes if you've done it. So far, no whys, no whys, no whys. Well, guess what we're going to do today? I'm going to walk you through the TRIP software, because the TRIP software is going to get a client to tell you, not once, not 10 times, not 20 times, but probably 50 times, that they think peeling some of their retirement income off and buying life insurance is a great thing to do. In fact, it's the smartest possible thing they can do. Not you telling them telling you. So we're going to take a look at the TRIP planning. So if you go to the website, it's under TRIP planning, and you're going to go to, what we're going to look at today is we're going to go through the tutorial training video, so you can get a sense on how we're doing this. So if I get out of here, I have to escape. Just a second here, get to the website. Get where we need to be. Okay. Through it. So before we'll go ahead. So guys, I'm gonna show you how we would do this with the variable annuity, but this process can be done if they have most of their money in managed money, and the software will do this for you. If they have most of their money in REITs, if they have most of their money in mutual funds, if they have most of their money in CDs, if they have most of their money in variable annuities. For today's demonstration, just do variable annuities. But this software will automatically fill this chart out for you, and no matter how or where they have their money. But for today, we're just going to look at variable annuity. And all you would do otherwise is in the software, you'd put in that they have most of their money in managed money, and then it would automatically change all of these blocks for managed money. But the presentation itself is the exact same. So let's walk through this here. Go ahead and begin at this screen. So now we'll go, Jeff is going to role play with me. So we'll start right into, Jeff is a client, and again, this only works for couples, so we're assuming that his wife is there, but she's going to be a silent participant, even though we'd want to make sure she was participating if this was an actual presentation. So we'll go ahead into the role play. So Jeff, can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do things change in society today? Does the economy change?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Tax rates?
Yep.
Interest rates, the market?
Yep, all of those.
I mean, everything's constantly changing. Is it changing faster or slower than it used to?
Oh, faster.
Faster, isn't it? So guys, I'm doing this presentation. Should I have told them this is a life insurance presentation yet? Should you have any clue this is about life insurance at this point? Yes or no? Y or N? No, that's right. He should not. Because what we're going to do is because if you just say, do you want life insurance, they're going to say no. If you just ask somebody, do you want an FIA? No. Instead, what you do is you walk through because how many people understand a fixed index annuity? How many of your clients really understand the concept of fixed index annuity? None. How many understand the concept of and the value of life insurance? None. So what we need to do is walk them through the concept, and then when they say, yeah, I want that concept, then you say, well, the way we get that concept is by this product. Okay, so that's what we're doing here. We're going to have them tell us they want life insurance. So do you think it makes more sense with all these things are changing? Do you think it makes sense just to react to them? So when something happens, then we run over and take care of that. And when there's another fire over here, we run over and take care of that. Or does it make more sense to be proactive so we're prepared for the kind of things that life can throw at us?
I'd say it makes more sense to be proactive.
Again, guys, be thinking here. Is Jeff just being nice to Mike? He's just, he's got the script and Mike's saying, say what it says on the script. Or what percentage of your clients would answer the question the way Jeff is answering the question? Ask yourself continually, would a normal person answer the way Jeff is answering? And anytime Jeff answers something and they're like, that's bull crap, Mike, there's no way most clients, maybe some would, but most clients would not say that. Then put something in the comment section and say, oh, I'm calling your bluff, Mike. That is not what somebody would say. So because this is designed so the client is basically going to tell you they want to buy life insurance, and it's okay for peeling off some of their income to do so. Yeah, I mean, and that's really why I wanted to meet with you today to talk about as I was looking at your portfolio and everything's going on in the world today. I thought it would make sense to review your current situation with being a little bit more proactive in mind. Does that make sense? You see why this is something you do with a client. You're saying, looking at your portfolio, we want to make sure that we're being proactive and you're prepared for anything that can be thrown at us. And in today's world, can anything be thrown at us? I mean, watch the news, watch Facebook, watch whatever place you get your information from. Can anything happen that can throw the world into a turmoil? Yes. Tense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
Super. So let me ask you a question. Let's say that if I spent $5,000 to remodel my house, it would guarantee to double the value of my house overnight. What would you think I should do?
Oh, definitely remodel.
Yeah, don't you think? And why would I do that?
Well, because it's going to double the value of your house, and it's not going to cost a whole lot to do.
Duh, right? So if you spend a little bit of money to double the value of your house, that only makes sense, right?
Right.
Right. Now, on the other hand, let's say that I had a 50-50 chance of my house flooding at any time. What should I do then? Should I remodel?
Probably not.
Probably not. If I had a 50-50 chance of my house flooding at any time, what should I do?
Well, you should probably make sure that it's not going to flood or that you can do things to keep it from flooding.
Yeah, like what kind of things could I do? You're right.
You could get a sump pump, I guess. You could put sandbags, maybe.
Yeah. Maybe hire a contractor to put up a dike around my house, or get emergency radios and maybe a generator. I mean, are all those things free?
No, they're free.
They're not free. And so, if I go do all those things, was that an example of being proactive or reactive?
That's proactive.
Proactive. I mean, there's no guarantee my house is going to flood. It's only 50-50, but I'm thinking what? Better safe than
sorry.
Right. Now, the government also allows us to do something if we're likely to be flooded. What do they allow us to buy?
Flood insurance.
Flood insurance. So do you think I have a 50-50 chance of my house flooding anytime? What do you think I should do?
I'd buy flood insurance.
I mean, anybody that wouldn't, what would you think about them?
They're really rolling the dice.
Yeah, and we do see when there's major floods and the news cameras go out into these flood areas and they always show people sitting on their roof, and then we hear their stories about the fact that they didn't have insurance. I mean, we do feel bad for them, don't we?
Yeah.
But we also think what? You were told 2 weeks in advance and you didn't what?
You didn't do anything to get ready or to prepare.
Yeah. So we kind of feel bad for them, but at the same time, we kind of think what?
Well, they should have done more.
They should have done more. Yeah, I mean, we don't wish bad things on anybody, but we also think, hey, we've got some personal responsibility or no personal responsibility?
No, you've definitely got personal responsibility.
Yeah. So if I got a 50-50 chance of flooding, I'm going to spend a little bit of money to protect my big what?
Your big investment, your house.
My house, right? Exactly. So is that an example of being proactive or reactive?
That would be proactive.
Yeah. Does the government allow me after my house is flooded to go buy flood insurance and then cash in on that?
No.
Nope. Is that proactive or reactive?
That's reactive.
And that doesn't work very well, does it?
No.
So anything we do, it does make sense to spend a little bit to protect what?
Well, to protect a lot, make sure your house is going to be okay.
Yeah. I mean, we do that all the time, don't we? Do we do that every day? So far as Jeff answering any differently than 99% of your clients would answer. Life. I mean, do we put on our seatbelts to protect in case we're in an accident?
Yeah, definitely.
Is that really an overburdening thing to do to give it the kind of protection it does?
No.
No, but if every time we went out to the grocery store, we had to put on our flame-resistant suit and our flame-resistant boots and our flame-resistant gloves and a helmet, and we had to get buckled in by another person. I mean, is that worth all of that?
No, it's not real. Not to me, anyway.
No, it's really not, is it? So doing a little bit to protect a lot, that makes sense. Doing a lot to protect a lot, that becomes pretty iffy, doesn't it?
Sure, right.
You know, and we do this all the time. How about, do you have home insurance?
Yep, we do.
And why do you have home insurance?
In case the house burns down.
Right. And if you think about it, did you know that the chance of a house burning down is only 1 in 1,200? So is that a huge chance or a pretty small chance?
No, that's a pretty small chance.
Yet me and all of my friends and you and all of your friends all do what?
Well, we have home insurance.
Just in case, right?
Right.
Just in case. And the reason I bring this up is because, you know, when it comes to your investment, I think you've done a really good job being proactive. And here's why. Now, you've got a variable annuity. And if we think about it, there's 4 things we want an investment to do for us. 1 is we want it to grow. 2 is we want to maybe get some income from it eventually, right? Maybe not now, but sometime in the future, maybe, right? Now, again, guys, this chart, if you put in managed money is where they have all their money, or if you put in REITs where they have all the money, this chart will automatically adjust for you. But for today's purposes, we're just going to do variable annuity.
Right.
And do we want it to be safe or risky?
No, we want it to be safe.
Safe, yeah. And do we want to pay a bunch of taxes on it or protect it as much as possible from taxes?
Well, you want to protect it as much as possible.
Yeah, as much as possible, right? And if your variable annuity, you did a good job investing this because it was very proactive for all 4 things. And here's what I mean by that. Does your variable annuity participate in growth?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah, how does it do that?
Well, it's invested in these market accounts. So if the market goes up, it goes up too.
Yeah, so that's proactive, right? How about income-wise? Remember we have that income benefit rider on it, that if the market goes to kaput, you still have what kind of guarantee?
Well, we still have the income.
Guys, all you're doing with this software is click, 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 just like you do with the PowerPoint for the FI presentation. This is software, but all you do is click, 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 and it'll fill in just as you see here in these blocks. And again, it would be, for example, with managed money, growth would be invested in the market. So it would still do it would still fill in those blocks for you just by you clicking in your mouse.
That'll come in.
The guaranteed income coming in, right?
Yep.
And for safety, if the market goes kaput, we at least have that income coming in. Does that give us some level of safety?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Again, are you being proactive in case the market goes down?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, you are. It says you've done a good job of that. And tax-wise, is it also tax protected to some degree?
Yeah, it's tax deferred. I mean,
yeah,
we'll pay taxes on it eventually, but right now we're not.
Yeah, so is that helpful not to have to pay taxes on it right now?
Yeah.
So that's a good thing, right? So and here, are we following the format that we always do, or the template we always do? First of all, we tell them what they have is what? Great. And are we making a case that variable annuity is a great thing to have here? If it was managed money, we'd be making a case. Managed money is a great thing to have here. We're just going to have them tell us they'd like to they have the cake, but they want the icing too. How do I get that icing? I'm willing to give up a little, make my cake slightly smaller to get the icing on the cake. So we're going to have them say that. But you see how we start with the same template, always telling them what they have is good, or having them tell us or agreeing with them that what they have is good.
Right.
Yeah. So you've done a very good job of investing proactively with your variable annuity. But with anything, is there any perfect anything out there?
No, not really.
I mean, everything has some form of limitation, right?
Right.
And if we think about with your variable annuity, what are the limitations when it comes to growth?
Well, it could lose money.
Yeah, the market can go down or sideways. And if it goes down, we lose money. If it goes sideways, you still go down a little bit. Why? Because it's not free. There's some.
Yeah, there's the fees. Yep.
Yeah. There's some internal fees, not huge, but some internal fees there, right?
Right.
So that's a limitation. How about income-wise? Is there a limitation with that guaranteed income you have? And you may or may not know this, but there is a limitation.
Okay.
Here's the limitation. They give you a fixed payment. So if you think about it, if your first paycheck back when you started work was what?
It wasn't very much at all.
Maybe $200 or?
Right.
So if your paycheck never grew, what would have happened to your lifestyle?
Well, it would have gone way down.
Yeah, because
everything's way more expensive than it used to be.
Yeah, and we call that what?
Inflation.
Right. See, and that's the thing with your guaranteed income is there's no inflation protection. Once you turn that income on, it's going to stay fixed, so you don't have inflation protection. So it's still great to have income, but the limitation is what?
Well, it's not going to go up for inflation.
Exactly. And safety-wise, what's the limitations with the growth? With safety with your variable annuity?
I suppose that the account could go down.
The account could still go down, right? The account's not guaranteed. It's just that you'd have that income there in case you need it, right?
Right.
Right. That's kind of as a fail-safe. And then what's the limitations with the tax protection of your variable annuity? But I think you mentioned it earlier. It's deferred.
Yeah,
which means
it means eventually we'll have to pay tax on it.
Yep, and the more you make, the more you what?
The more you pay.
The more you pay, right? So that's the limitation. Right. Again, variable annuity, very proactive investment, but everything in life has some limitations, so it has somewhat.
It has some, limitations, some setbacks.
Some setbacks. Now, the nice thing is when you click this, even if you just have them read what's in the box. Now, if they predict what's in the box, then you click and what they said, it comes up in the box. That is awesome. But if they're having trouble coming up with the answer, just clicking on it and letting them read what's in the box, still psychologically, when they read what's in the box, it locks them into believing it. So if we could make it better, how would we want to make it better? For example, for growth, how would we want to make it better for growth?
You could make it so that the growth is guaranteed.
Growth is guaranteed, absolutely. You're absolutely right. How about for income? How could we make it better for income? And I'm going to throw you a little caveat here. Do you know what the lottery is?
Yeah.
Yeah. So when these people win $300 million, they have the winning ticket. Do they get all $300 million?
No.
They get what?
Well, usually they'll take it as a lump sum. It'll be less taxes and all that kind of stuff.
Right, because the lottery gives them a choice of either taking income for the rest of their life and getting the full $300 over the rest of their life, or a lump sum. And what do 100% of people do?
Oh, they take the lump sum.
And it's usually about half as much. So why would they take half as much?
Well, I mean, they want to have the money up front because you don't know what could happen in the future, I guess.
Yeah, you know what I call that? A bird in the hand is worth what?
Two in the bush.
Yeah. So because they don't know, is the lottery going to be around? Are tax rates going to go up? What if something happens where I need more of it right now? I mean, they don't know. So a bird in the hand is always worth two in the bush.
Two in the bush, yeah.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And how about safety? Could safety be made better for your variable annuity?
No, they could guarantee the account value.
Yeah. Well, you're absolutely right. So if you had a big lump sum sitting in the account, would that increase your safety?
Yeah, definitely.
It would, wouldn't it? And then tax protection. What's better than tax deferred?
Tax-free would be better.
That would be the best, right? Or I'm sorry, that'd be. So are you starting to get an idea of what we're building here? What would be better? What are we talking about? Better. Oh, actually, I don't know if could it be any better than tax-free unless they started paying you. Yeah, it probably can't be any better, right? So it'd be tax-free. Now, that's how it could be better, but how could it be best? And here's what I mean by that. If you think about it, what if the market goes up 15%, but your guaranteed growth is only 8%? Which one would you rather have, the guaranteed growth or the market growth?
No, I'd rather have the market growth. If it's higher.
Yeah, it's higher, right?
Right.
So you'd be disappointed, even though 8% is good. You'd be disappointed if you had guaranteed growth of 8 and the market went up 15.
Right.
So the best thing would be to have market growth and what?
Guaranteed growth.
And guaranteed growth. So in case the market went down, you still had what? The 8.
Still have that guarantee, yeah.
See if anybody gets this. How would buying UL, taking a little bit off the top of your retirement income every year to buy UL, how would UL give you market growth and guaranteed growth? Well, think about this. Are you taking all of your assets and putting them into the universal life, or is it still is 99% or 98% of the assets still growing? So are you getting market growth if you move just a little bit of the income over to the UL? Are you still getting market growth? Yeah, or nay? Y or N? Y or N? Yeah, so you're getting market growth. And what's the guaranteed growth then? What am I talking about with the guaranteed growth? If they continue to pay that premium, when one of them dies, what will happen? Will they get a guaranteed death benefit? And will that be growth? Yes, Bob, you got it. Guarantee. So the best is to have, I guess what's the saying? The best of both worlds, right?
Right.
Market growth and guaranteed growth. Well, if we think about income, what would the best of both worlds be? Because remember, what did the lottery give you the choice of?
The income or the lump sum.
So what would the best of both worlds be?
Well, you could have the income and the lump sum, I guess.
Income and the lump sum. That would be the best thing we could get, right? Because then we got money coming in all the time, but we still have this big lump sum there just in case, right?
Right.
Do you think that would apply to safety as well?
Yeah, I would. Yeah.
Having income coming in all the time. Okay, what I'm talking about here is if they both buy life insurance, if one of them dies, they're going to have that lump sum to give them guaranteed income. And when the other one dies, they still have another lump sum coming for the family. And a big lump sum, would that make you feel safer?
A lot safer, yeah.
Yeah. And then tax protection, we just talked about, can we get any better than tax-free?
Not that I could think of.
Not that I can think of either. Tax-free is about the best that we can get. But even though that's the best, so now they basically are buying the concept of buying life insurance on both of them. Remember I said this only works if they're a couple. But if they're a couple, they bought into buying UL on each of them. They bought in, and we're going to talk about a little bit later about if only one of them qualifies. But right now, they bought into the concept, but I'm not going to then say, okay, well, this is life insurance. Nope. I'm going to create a little story that has them tell themselves it's okay to pull a little bit off the top, a little bit off the income to buy life insurance with it. They're going to explain why that makes sense for them to do that. I'm not going to explain to them. They're going to tell me with a story. But so now they bought into the concept, but I'm not going to jump in and say, this is life insurance. I'm going to have them, through a story, tell me why it makes sense to take some of their income every year and buy life insurance with it. Yes, do you think it's perfect?
No, that's pretty close to being perfect.
Pretty close to perfect. But do you think there's any investment out there that could be perfect? Or does everything always have advantages and disadvantages?
No, everything has advantages and disadvantages.
And the reason I bring that up is, cars in the 1970s as compared to cars today, how are they different?
Well, cars today are better.
Yeah, I think so. How?
Well, they get better gas mileage.
Yep, better gas mileage.
They're safer. They have airbags.
A lot safer. You're absolutely right. How else? They're
a lot more comfortable.
Comfortable, convenience, yeah. How about reliable? Are they more reliable?
Yeah, they are.
I mean, there's all sorts of reasons they're better, right? How about just even 5 years ago? Are cars better now than they were just 5 years ago?
Yeah, I'd say they are.
They are. I mean, every year they get a little what?
Get a little better.
I mean, some people say they get a little more complicated, and I agree with that, but that complication and usually makes it a little bit what? More convenient, a little safer,
more reliable.
Because if you had your choice and you're going to pay the same amount, would you want a car that was built in 5 years ago or a car built today?
I'd pick the car built today.
Because they're always getting a little bit what?
They're getting better.
Better. So when you invest in your variable annuity, like I said, it's a very proactive investment. But do you think, just like with cars, do you think investments get a little bit better every year? They make them a little bit better, find ways to give them a little bit more mileage and a little bit more safety and a little bit more whatever.
Yeah, I would think so.
They do. They do. So when you bought your variable annuity, it was the best thing out there. But and again, you're going to do the same thing whether they have their money in money management, variable annuity, REIT, or mutual funds, whatever they have their money. That's what they've done. Do you see this thing we just built here of what would be the best?
Mm-hmm.
That thing now exists. Didn't exist when you invest in the variable annuity, but it exists now. But like we said, is there any perfect investment out there?
No, I don't think so.
No, there's not. Everything has advantages and everything has what?
Disadvantages.
Disadvantages. So right now it has a lot of advantages over the variable annuity, and it's going to have some disadvantages or limitations just like the variable annuity did, but it would have less of them. But one of them is only about 60 to 70% of people actually can even use this. But why am I saying only 60 to 70% of people can use this? What am I talking about? So I'm preparing them for the fact that they can't qualify for life insurance. Am I also saying, hey, this thing's perfect? No. I'm also doing what? When I say only 60 to 70% people want, at this point, they're pretty interested in this, but when I tell them only 60 or 70% can qualify for this, now what happens? What am I using there? What principle of influence am I using there when I say only 60 to 70% of people qualify for this? What principle of influence am I using there? See if anybody can get scarcity, Nick. Very good. If you were part of that 60 or 70%, would you want to at least take a look at how it works?
No, I'd want to at least see it.
Yeah. So should we take a look at how it works?
Sure.
Okay. So here's how it works. And the best way for this is a little story that I'm going to have them walk me through why it makes sense, again, to peel income off of their income to buy life insurance. Let me explain how it works is actually to kind of walk you through a little scenario here. Let's say that I had 2 boats. And guys, this is software. If you haven't looked at it, this is software that when you fill in, this does all of this stuff automatically for you. It's like a little PowerPoint, but it's like a little cartoon PowerPoint. And they were going to go down the river here. You see the river? And they're going to go through the jungle. And in the jungle, are there any grocery stores or are there any gas stations in the jungle?
No.
No. So these boats have to make sure, what do we buy at grocery stores?
Food.
And what do we buy at gas stations?
Fuel. Gas.
So guess what these boats better bring with them?
Gas and food.
Gas and food, right. So now the nice thing about food is, hey, they're on a river. What might help them with food-wise on a river?
Fishing. They could
Fishing.
fish.
Yeah, they could fish. And maybe on the side, could they maybe find berries or apples or grapes or something?
Yeah, they could.
They might. So they need to bring as much food as they can, but they also hope, what will they be able to do as they go down the river?
Well, that they'll find more.
Yeah, that they'll find some more. No guarantee of that, but they're hoping that what?
They're hoping they do.
They're hoping they do, exactly. But now the analogy there is what? We hope our investments, what? Grow and allow us to take income off them. But we're hoping that's the plan that we can do that. Now with fuel, can we make gas out of fish?
No.
So the fuel, they need to what?
They need to take what they need to take what they need.
They need to
for
take
the whole trip.
Exactly. They need to take what they need for the whole trip. Now here's the problem with that, because you're exactly right. They need to take as much as they need for the whole trip. The problem is, because this is on a river going through the jungle, they don't know how long that trip's going to be. It could be 3 months. It could be 30 years. They don't know how long it's going to be. So they're going to take as much as possible, but is there a little bit of risk there?
Yeah, I mean, they might not be able to carry 30 years worth.
Exactly. So the locals here that live in the village where these boats are taking off from, they've seen a lot of boats take off on this journey, and they've seen some journeys turn out really, really well, and they've seen some total disasters. So they approach both the boat captains, and here's what they propose to the boat captains. They say, hey, here's what we'll do. We know the jungle, we know the river. So here's what we'll do. If you give us a half a fish a month, so if you have 100 fish, if you give us just 1/2 of those fish a month, we'll do this. If you ever need gas, we'll be there. If you ever need food, we'll be there. Well, if you ever need any type of help whatsoever, we'll be there. We'll give you a radio. If you need help, pick up the phone, call us, and we'll be there. So what we charge you is just 1/2 a fish out of your 100 fish a month. So boat captain A here, you see the little boat captain A, and a little flag here. He says, yeah, I'll do that. He says, I'll do that, because he thinks, I don't know, this is a trip. I've never done this before. I've heard stories, but I've heard good stories and bad stories. I just don't know what's going to happen. It's always better to be what?
Better safe than sorry.
Better. So what is this half a fish per month? What's the analogy that they were talking about there? And we'll get to that. So we're going to do the real life story first, then go back and talk about their money. Real life story first, then we're going to go back to talk about money. But what is this half a fish per month we're talking about out of 100 fish? What is it? The premium. That's right, Bob. The premium. Safe and sorry, better to be proactive or reactive?
Better to be proactive.
Proactive. So he's saying, I guess that's not a big price. And again, is Jeff saying exactly what any normal person, any sane person, is he answering the exact same way anybody would answer? Is to pay to make sure that if we ever need help, we got what?
Well, you have someone there to help you.
Got somebody there to help you. But now both Captain B here, he's Mr. Machismo, right? And he only takes care of himself. He says, I don't need any help, and I've got all things figured out, and I've done all my planning, and there's nothing going to throw me for a loop, so I don't need your help. So which captain do you think is the smarter captain at this point?
Oh, A, for sure.
I would think A, but we really don't know. Should we find out?
Right. Yep.
Let's find out. Because I think he said A because, again, we just talked about proactive or reactive better.
Proactive is better.
Proactive is better. You think we're going to find that out?
I'm probably.
We're probably going to find that out. So let's set them off on their journey here. So they go on their journey and everything goes fantastic. In fact, for food, they not only don't even tap into their food supply, they find enough fish and berries to have their food supply grow every month. Good thing or bad thing?
That's good.
That's a good thing, right? They're living the life.
Continues to grow.
So on boat B, the food supply is growing, isn't it?
Yeah.
No problemo. Now, boat A, the food supply is growing, but remember, they have to do what?
Well, they have to give some to the locals.
Yeah, so when they bring in 100 fish, they have to give a half a fish to the locals.
To the locals, yeah.
Yeah. So they, which boat captain was smarter so far?
I'd say they're both smart. But,
yeah, I'd say they're both smart. And so far, it's working out pretty good for boat B, right?
Right.
But is boat captain A, are they really being hurt on that boat?
No.
Because is their food supply still growing?
Yes.
If they bring in 100 fish and they just give one half to the locals, is that affecting their lifestyle at all?
No, I don't think so.
So really, when push comes to shove, if you had your druthers, you'd be on boat B. But are you even affected on boat A by this?
No.
So as both the passengers on boat A and boat B are pretty darn happy at this point.
Yeah.
Again, guys, if we'll get to the actual money story, but just in your head, how many people spend all their money in retirement? How many people actually spend all their RMDs in retirement, or just put it back into savings? So, how many of them will be affected by taking a little bit off the top and buying life insurance? How many of them will have their lifestyle affected? Especially if they buy life insurance, is that money down the drain if they buy life insurance? Is that money down the drain if they buy life insurance, especially if they're a husband and a wife? No. They're going to get it back when their spouse dies, and then some, right? Yeah, they are, aren't they?
Yeah.
So things are going great for both of them. So let's go on down the journey. Now, when we go on trips, can sometimes somebody get sick or hurt?
Yeah, it could happen.
I mean, we've had that where you've gone on vacation and then your little kid gets sick and the whole vacation is spent with them throwing up in the bathroom, right? So we've all experienced that kind of thing. But let's say that it gets serious and a loved one has 104 temperature, they're getting dehydrated, they're starting to go into shock. What will you do to get your loved one help?
Whatever we have to.
Whatever you have to, right? So boat B finally flags down a local there in the jungle, and they say, hey, we need help. We've got a really sick individual here. And now the locals, they have long memories. So I'm taking it down here. What I'm talking about here is if they become long-term care, are they going to say, well, let's euthanize my spouse because it's going to cost a lot of money? Or will they just basically cannibalize their entire life savings to protect that spouse? That's the analogy I'm doing here. And again, we're starting with a story that's non-financially related. We will get into their finances here with the next boat story, but we're laying it down because do they right now have anything on the hook right now? Or are they just talking about these people on these boats? Is there anything for them to feel they need to protect themselves or to deny because we're talking about them, or is this all third party? We're talking about these other people. See, that's why we start this way. Right. So when you're fixing a meal, you think we should make a big meal? We got to make a small meal.
No, you're thinking we got to make it as small as possible.
And when somebody throws food, or I'm saying there is again, the analogy is if I'm long-term care sucking up all the assets, I'm going to have to change my lifestyle because of that. So what's happened to stress levels?
Oh, you're way more stressed.
Yeah, what's happened to lifestyle?
That's not as good.
Not as good, is it?
No.
Now, boat A, they have the agreement with the locals, so when somebody gets sick, they pick up the radio, and guess what they do?
They get help.
They call up, they get help. And what are they charged for that? No extra cost. So who's smarter, boat A or boat B?
Boat A.
Boat A, aren't they? So they continue down the trip, and they hit some rocks, and it punctures a hole in their fuel tanks, and before they find it and fix it, they've lost a third to half their fuel. So now what's boat captain B got to do? So what do you think the analogy you were doing here? What's the fuel? What's the fuel the analogy for? I guess he's got to break out the oars. Anybody? What's the fuel the analogy for? If he wants to keep going down the river, what's he got to do? Do you have to steer at least? Your assets.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Can the market go down and you lose half your assets? So the fuel is your assets. So he's now on this boat. He breaks out the oars, and in mosquito-infested nights, guess what we're doing?
Paddling.
And in 115-degree days with 100% humidity, guess what we're doing?
Paddling.
What's our lifestyle?
And the analogy is, if I lose all those assets, I may have to go back to work.
It's through the roof.
It's through the roof, exactly. Now, boat A, again, they pick up the radio, and what do?
Tell the locals they need help.
And the locals come and refuel the boat. No problem, right?
Right.
So now which boat captain is looking smarter, the proactive or the reactive?
The proactive A.
Yeah, the A, right? Remember, guys, this is like a PowerPoint. It's like a cartoon PowerPoint. It's doing all this for you just by you going click, click, click.
They've been going down the river for some time now, and then maybe some moisture got in their food supplies or whatever, but or they've eaten all their food supplies, but their food supplies are dwindling almost to the point where they don't have any left, and they're just living off what they can find out of the river and off the river banks. So what's happened to the stress level of both these boats now?
Oh, people are way more stressed.
Yeah, I mean, boat Captain B is stressed, and even boat Captain A is stressed, because guess what? If all their food supply is gone and they're struggling to even find enough to feed themselves, can they afford to pay the locals anymore?
Probably not, no.
No, they can't if they want to starve, but they don't want to starve, so they say, I can't feed the locals or give the locals anymore, right? So they call up, they radio the locals, say, listen, we can't pay you anymore. And the locals say, hey, you've been a good customer for a long time. Here's the analogy here is if you have life insurance for $1 million, I'm just using as an example, for $1 million, it has a certain premium. So can I call up the life insurance company and say, okay, I need to switch this to $500,000, or if I have $500,000, can I call them and say, I'm going to switch this down to $250,000 so that I either pay it up or that I can't, so I have to pay less. That's what I'm talking about. And things are going well. Both of them were pretty darn happy, weren't they?
Yeah.
So when things go well, you don't really need to be proactive or reactive, do you? Everything takes care of itself.
Right.
So what percentage of people are going to pick boat A? How many people are going to say that the top boat is the smarter boat? What percentage of people? Everybody answer this. What percentage of people going through this little story are going to say, no, I think that B, they should have, rolling the dice is a better way. How many people? 100%. That's right. 100% of people are going to pick boat A. And now I'm going to re-go through it all again, talking about money. Instead of about this mythical boat, fuel, whatever, we're going to talk about money.
They didn't have to worry about it.
Exactly. So this is just a summary, so they can remember what they said before we get into the money analogy.
Because they got resupplied and they didn't have to paddle or
right. They didn't have to paddle. About it. Exactly. So you know what? If I'm on a boat, I don't want to be paddling, right?
Right.
Yeah. And then when the supplies were dwindling, which boat did made? Both of them were kind of in a hardship, but which one did we want to be on?
A.
And why did we want to be on A?
Well, because at least they got resupplied one last time.
Yeah.
So.
It stretched out their comfort level, didn't it?
Right.
Yeah. So really, if the passengers A and B could go back to the beginning, which boat would everybody you want to be riding on?
Well, everyone would want to be on boat A.
Boat A, right? Now here's the thing. At their end of so here's the thing. Now let's tie it to real life. These boats are going to go down the river. This is the retirement journey they're going on. Okay. So they needed food and fuel, and they had an agreement with the locals. So we need food and fuel, but we call that really assets. Assets take care of our food and fuel, don't they?
Yep.
So what we're going to do is the boat A has an agreement with the locals that if you pay them a little bit, they'll provide you some protection. They call it the TRIP protection. That stands for the Timed Replacement of Income and Inflation Protection Plan. So you see that little flag there on boat A? They have TRIP protection. And then boat B, it says, I don't need any TRIP protection. I'm just going to have my variable annuity with no protection whatsoever. So boat A has the variable annuity, but it also has the TRIP protection. Boat B says, I don't need any protection. I'm just going to go straight with the variable annuity. So that makes sense so far? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So they take off on their trip. And remember, guys, if I put in money management, will that change the little flag on top? Yay or nay? Will it change all of this stuff for you? Yay or nay? Yes, it will. At first, everything goes well. They find remember the boats found a lot of food. Well, what we call that is what? We get a lot of money. The market goes up. So if the market goes up, are you happy it's a variable annuity?
Yeah.
Yeah, because your account's doing what?
It's going up.
It's going up, so we're happy, right?
Right.
With the trip, our account's also growing, but it's growing what?
Slower.
So does that affect our lifestyle at all?
No. Not if it's a 0.5% like that.
Yeah, because it's still growing, isn't it?
Right.
Yeah, so we'd rather not have to pay that. Again, it's growing slower. Why? Because we're peeling a little bit off the top to pay the premium.
But is it saying that we can't buy our Lear jet that we always had our eyes on, or that $3 million palace down in Florida that we can't? Is it preventing us from doing those things? Is it affecting our lifestyle at all?
No.
So are we happy both with the variable annuity and with the TRIP?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. So remember then the next thing was if somebody got hurt or sick. Well, in retirement, can we have is it possible somebody might need long-term care of some sort or another?
Yeah, it could happen.
I mean, it can happen. I mean, it doesn't happen to everybody, but does it happen to some people?
Yeah, it does.
And how about health problems? Do health problems happen to virtually everyone? Guys, remember, in retirement, how much do people spend, according to many different pieces of research, how much money above and beyond what Medicare spends will a couple spend on average? Over $300,000. And where is most of that spent? Dispersed equally throughout their retirement, or 80% of it is spent when? In the last 6 months. And then that dwindles their assets, but if at the end of that 6 months the other spouse dies, they get that lump sum back. That's what we're looking for here. Everybody.
Yeah, eventually.
And have you had friends or family that have ever had health problems that was not covered by Medicare?
Yeah, I've known people that had things that weren't completely covered or weren't covered at all.
And is that expensive or not expensive?
Oh, it's really expensive.
And what does Washington keep talking about doing?
Well, they're talking about cutting benefits, really.
Yeah. So I mean, so is this a serious problem we need to at least be proactive about, or just reactive about?
Well, it's a serious problem. You should be proactive if you can.
Correct. Because if something happens and we're not proactive, but instead we're reactive, what's going to happen to our account?
Yeah, it's going to go down.
Yeah, and can it go down pretty rapidly? Do you know what the average long-term care cost is in the United States today?
I'm not sure, but I'm sure it's high.
Yeah, it's over $70,000 a year. How quickly would that drain an account?
Oh, fast, real fast.
And how much do doctor visits, surgeries, broken legs, or anything cost and that might be not covered by Medicare? Little or a lot?
A lot.
A lot. So could that affect our lifestyle if that started to happen?
Yeah, definitely.
If we were losing $70,000 a year to healthcare costs, would that affect our lifestyle?
Oh, definitely.
What would we constantly be thinking about? Every time we got the mail, what would we be thinking about? And guys, is there life insurance that will prepay the death benefit out for long-term care purposes? Is there life insurance out there that will do that? Yes.
Another bill. We'd be worried about money.
That starts to stress levels up or down?
Up, way up.
Yep. So just like though with the boats, with the trip protection, if that happens, guess what? Your account value will be untouched. So now, who's got more stress, the variable annuity or the variable annuity? Why is your account value untouched? Because you're using the prepaid death benefits, so you don't have to cannibalize your retirement account, the trip protection.
Well, the variable annuity has more stress.
So which one's smarter, variable annuity or the one with the trip protection?
The one with the trip is smarter.
Right, right? So they go down the river, and remember we said they hit that rock and they lost some fuel?
Right.
Well, this is the equivalent of retirement, and I'll tell you, this is after healthcare costs or catastrophes, this is the second most stressful time that I find for clients, and that is when they lose their spouse. And not only which is natural, right? It's going to be stressful. Right. But then the government throws fuel on the fire, and here's what I mean by that. Right now, you receive how many Social Security checks in the mail every month?
2.
2. Well, if one of you passes, how many checks are you going to get?
1.
Which means you've now lost a third to half of your Social Security. So not only you're stressed out because you lost your spouse, what's happened instantaneously to your income?
It's gone down by a lot.
So when you lose a third to half of your income in 1 month for the rest of your life, stressful or not stressful?
Oh, no, that's very stressful.
Very stressful. And I don't know if you realize this, but what would your guess be? And this is according to the latest census, the census that they take every, 10 years or whatever. The latest census, they looked at what the median age of a person when they become a widow or a widower. And median means this, Jeff. It means 50% of people will become a widow or widower before that age, and 50% will become a widow or widower after that age. So what would you guess that median age when the average person in the U.S. becomes a widow or a widower?
I'm guessing, but I'd say 72, 73 maybe.
That's fun. That's hilarious because that's almost exactly, I thought 72. But here, look at this. This is right from the National Census. You see here, right here?
Yeah.
What's the average age?
59.
59 and a half, right?
Right.
So, first of all, I want to congratulate you because you and Rochelle, you're above average. Because are you older or younger than 59?
Well, we're older than that.
You're older.
Yeah.
Congratulations. You're above average. Now, the bad news is what, though? And I'm getting to close to that same age. Is that are you on the good side of that 50-50 or the bad? In one way, you're on the good side of the 50-50, right? Because you made it. But in another way, you're on the bad side of the 50-50 because why?
Well, eventually someone's going to pass away. Someone's going to die.
Right. So we're now past that 50-50. We're on the less than 50-50 chance or the greater than 50-50 chance side of that?
Greater than 50-50.
Greater 50-50 chance. So this is something we should be concerned about or not concerned about at all?
No, you have to worry about it.
Have to at least worry about it, right? And I'll let you guess. What do you think the TRIP's going to do when you lose that a third to 1/2 of Social Security?
Replace it.
It replaces it. It replaces it. And not only does it replace it, but it gives you an inflation protection for your spouse. So they're going to get a bump up in their income. Because can I ask you a question? Do you really think Social Security is keeping pace with inflation?
No, definitely not.
And it's almost a guarantee.
So again, guys, nobody wants to buy life insurance, but right now, are they starting to think they want this TRIP plan? Yay or nay, Y or N? Nobody wants life insurance, but right now, what percentage, a high or a low percentage, are starting to think, I think I want this TRIP plan. I need to find more about this TRIP plan.
Very important.
Because the likelihood is that the spouse is going to live how long? Because here's the funny thing.
Longer than...
Yes.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's weird because the 59 and a half, that's actually a lot lower than I thought it would be. So there's a high likelihood that we'll become a widower fairly young or a lot younger than I thought. How about you?
Yeah, that's a lot younger than I thought.
But the funny thing is, it's on the opposite side of that, is that when somebody becomes a widow or widower, guess what the likelihood is that person who stays alive lives to a ripe old age?
It's probably pretty high.
It is. It's very high, exactly. So that means inflation protection becomes less important or more important?
Oh, it's a lot more important.
Yeah, so which do you think is smarter, the variable annuity or the TRIP?
The TRIP.
The TRIP, right? So let's keep going down here. And remember we said this is where the supplies were dwindling? Well, the equivalent of that would be what? The market's going down. So if the market's going down, what's happening to your variable annuity?
It's going down.
It's going down. A nice thing to be experiencing or kind of stressful?
No, that's stressful.
That's stressful. And here's what the TRIP does. The TRIP says, you know what? The spouse gets to hit a reset button. So even if the account goes down, even if it goes dry, it will replace the entire account.
Right? So if you start out with $1 million, in between the market falling 25%, so now you're down to $750, and you have to spend some money for another $250,000 for expenses, but then you have a $500,000 life insurance policy, what will happen at the end? What you spent for healthcare costs and the market going down, all of that is replaced, and you're back to start ground zero again. The nice thing is, if you do that, the life insurance goes into, you buy the market again. It's almost like an FIA, right? Because you bought at the low market because they died. The market was down 25%, put it in. Well, when the market comes back, you're up 37% on that lump sum. One last time.
Wow.
So how does that make you feel?
That's good.
So which one do you think you should be on, the variable annuity or the variable annuity with the TRIP?
The TRIP.
Yeah. So when we look at all the things that can happen, when the market goes up, we're both boats happy.
Yeah, they were both happy.
Yeah. When we had a health problem, which one was happier?
The A.
Yeah, the TRIP, the one with the TRIP protection. And which boat would you rather be on if that happened?
The TRIP.
Yeah.
The one with the TRIP protection.
And God forbid, when something happens, which boat do we want to be on when we lose half to a third of Social Security? The one that has it completely replaced with inflation protection, or the one that you just lose it and you have no inflation protection?
No, the one where you get the replacement with the inflation protection.
Yeah, I mean, that only makes sense, right? And when the market goes down, would you want to be able to hit a reset button, or do you want to just ride it all the way down?
So guys, has this reframed life insurance for you? Say yay or nay. Has this reframed life insurance for you personally, of what life insurance does? Yay or nay? I only got one Y. Come on, how many people? Has it reframed what life insurance does for a retiree? Yay or nay? So please, please, please mark down, time mark 40 minutes. We're at 40 minutes, because then we're going to go through and we're going to talk about how life insurance will, just buying $150,000 life insurance will make their life immensely better. So I'm not going to have next week's call to finish this video, but write down the time mark of 40 minutes, because then you have, another 25 minutes of video to watch where they're going to want to buy life insurance and why life insurance makes better. Even if you're taking, even if they have to take some of their income off to buy life insurance, they want to buy life insurance. So write down that we stopped at 40 minutes, and then you can watch the other 25 minutes yourself. How they're going to, if I can find it here. Go to the trip tutorial. So you go down here, trip training tutorial video, start at 40 minutes. You can finish that off. But guys, is this a tool? Did you like the fact that, or did you know, or is it an advantage to you to have this tool, this cartoon PowerPoint for you to sell life insurance to your current clients? Do you see? Should you be ashamed? You know, I would be ashamed to ask my guy, hey, do you want to buy life insurance? Because that makes me feel what? If I ask my client, hey, do you want to buy life insurance? Hey, you should buy some life insurance. How does that make me feel? Good or dirty as a financial advisor? Good or dirty? I'm sorry, maybe you don't feel this way, but I feel what? I feel dirty. Will I feel dirty when I do this, though? Because did I sell them life insurance here? Who sold them life insurance here? Who sold them a UL with a long-term care rider on it? Who sold it to them? They sold themselves. Do I have to feel bad about that? No. So was this worthwhile going through? I know it was kind of brutal watching a video for an hour, but was this worthwhile going through? Because I think many of you didn't realize or had forgotten this tool existed on the site. Is there any, how about this? Just one last question. Is there any other tool like this in existence in this industry? Is there any life insurance presentation, anything like this in this industry, even close to it? I don't care if it's Merrill Lynch, Allianz, and they are worth how much more than us? I mean, we're a pimple on their butt, but we have a better presentation than they do. But if you've got the tool, the only way for that tool to be worthwhile is if you what? Use it. Make sense? So we have the training video, we have the software. Remember, it works for any type of assets that you're looking to tap into, and it's just an unbelievable tool that I think we all forget exists and to use. Make sense? Awesome. Well, thanks for sticking with me through the whole hour. You guys have a wonderful rest of the week, and in fact, the next 2 weeks, because we'll have Memorial Day off next Monday. Hey, how about using some of that time to go through, finish the last 25 minutes of this video to see how it'll help you sell life insurance. Because if you only sell one, is it worthwhile endeavor? It's the most profitable product we sell. Make sense? Awesome. You guys have a great rest of the week, a great Memorial Day weekend. Thank you for all you wishing us that as well. And we'll talk to you here in a couple of weeks. Thanks, guys.